work permit, so I was raking dog shit at a kennel at 14. I knew I hated that, and I didn't want to be doing that forever, so I really stopped eventually, got a work permit, started working at McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
Then like that, so I went to the National Guard, went and did all my training, came back, didn't like what I had been doing, went to work at Walmart. Didn't like Walmart, so I went active full-time as an avenue to a career. But even when I look at that, like, first apartment, car, stuff like that was back when we was like 18. You know what I mean? Like 18, 19, 20 is when either you in college and you in a dorm or something where you have your own place. But I wasn't doing either, but I was either always on the move or I was progressing toward, you know, getting my own. And as soon as I joined the military, I think that's really when I got my first place, but I wasn't even really at home a lot when I wasn't in the military. I was always going out trying to get my own either way. But I think further along, by the time we got to this stage that we're at now, in our late 20s probably, we was at that phase where we was like, all right, being content isn't going to be enough. You know what I mean? Like, we need to create. We're going to have kids one day. We need to aspire. We need to do other stuff. And now it's like, I don't know if that spark happened or if that's why people have midlife crisis or what goes on. But if generationally they're a decade behind us in pushing forward on goals and dreams, then they're technically 2 decades behind us when you think about age, career, creating and laying that groundwork to be what they actually want to be. Because everybody's going to get to that phase where they realize, you know what? At one point, I wanted to be content, just make sure that I made enough money to survive and get down and do what I need to do. And then they're going to wake up one day and be like, I'm making somebody else rich.
Yeah.
And I can't afford all the opportunities that I want to afford to my kid. Or I had dreams of changing the world, and I can't do that from, you know, behind the desk. Even if you're making good money and you're content, you just hit that phase where you realize this isn't what's up. But complacency, like you said, is usually the cause of that. When you get too comfortable, you screw yourself.
And I wonder, you know, talking about contentment, I wonder if there's, you know, is there an age where contentment is the goal? Because I think it's also a popular notion for people, especially younger people, when to be driven into their head to never be content as a means to drive to accomplish more.
Right.
But, you know, I don't think contentment is a bad thing. I don't feel passionately one way or the other about it. Just to question my mind, because I mean, if you're 70 years old, why would you not want to be content?
Right. Well, you know, it goes back to, and I was having this discussion when I bartended that party lately, because I mean, they were 70-year-olds, like both of them 70, and like they were talking about, you know, traveling the world and everything they did and everything they want their son to do. Their son was there. He was about my age. And I think the gist of what he said that really sounded off on me was being content or reaching a level of success and doing more. None of those things are mutually exclusive, right? So you could be perfectly content and still be driving to do more. Meaning you're living a life where you would be fine if you didn't do anything else, but you have more life to live. You have more that you can give back to the world or to your kids or to your community, so you keep pushing. And I think, especially looking at it from his perspective, he's like, you know, we're both retired. We can travel when we want to. We don't necessarily have to work, but we still do these community events. We still get up out of our beds and go and do stuff that is, one, contributing to, you know, their personal self-worth and what they look for in life as far as like being a contributing member of society or to the world. And I mean, a part of that probably comes with the military mentality, because he was ex-mil too, and you just get into you that, you know, keep driving. Even when it's good, keep driving, because it might not necessarily always be good.
Right.
So, and I think, and you know, I was ironically thinking about like our parents when I was thinking about this the first time. And I'm like, all right, so you got parents that built their own business, went out and got it, created what they needed, took care of their kids, created opportunities for their kids. At no point where they're like, all right, well, you have this available to you, so you don't need to work or you don't need to go out and get your own. Instead, they instilled in you all, you still need to have your own. You still need to go out and make your money, you know, develop your path in the road and do what's going to be fulfilling to you, opposed to just being like, well, we got it, so here you go. You know, and the point is, though, they still created those opportunities. That's still available if you absolutely need it. The goal is still not to need it.
Yeah.
But if you need it, it's there. But if you're the type of person where I guess you get content, you're like, all right, I'm good. I can take care of myself. My kids out the house. They're good. Won't need to do nothing else. What happens when that day comes where you need it and you're like, man, I really wish I could do for my kids or, my immediate siblings or whatever. And it's like, well, you really want to get down to the nitty gritty. You made a decision not to go any further. That was a decision you made. You don't know what you may need it for. The point is not to need it, but have it. No one develops wealth or anything massive over time, one on their own and two overnight. So there's a platform there that somebody else built that is better than just, all right, let me take this platform and build further. And then my kids take this platform and build further, opposed to saying, all right, everybody develop your own platform. This platform is here if you need it. Here's the foundations, the morals, the gist of what you need, but still do your own shit. Do understand this is here, though. But how do you do that if you just be like, all right, I'm Gucci.
Yeah.
Me personally, I'm Gucci.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't feel like, even if I end up hating my son one day and we stop speaking or whatever, like, I still wouldn't be like, all right, I can stop now because I ain't got to worry about him.
His son.
Yeah, that's not how that works. You create those opportunities so that they're available, so that if rain comes, if hell, high water comes, it's nothing to you. You have that reserve, and you can be like, damn, there you go. And that apply to friends as well, because I do that the same way. And if my friends ask anything, a lot of shit I don't even use, but if they need it, bam, here you go. It's not like I'm doing it just for me. I feel like you have to do it and take into consideration when you're doing it the people around you and what you choose to accomplish for yourself and for those people.
What would you rather be? Would you rather be someone who makes bad decisions consistently or someone who's indecisive consistently?
Bad decisions. Because, I mean, I don't know, I feel like I asked that question. Well, I asked it in a different way, I think. I asked somebody one time, would you rather fail habitually or just never take the risk? And my greatest failures would be some people's greatest success. Mm-hmm. I mean, not even for that to sound any kind of way, but that's just the reality of it. Because every time you fail, you make it a little further.
Yeah.
So even if I'm making bad decisions, chances are my next bad decision probably won't be as bad as the previous decision because I've gained some knowledge now. Mm-hmm. Even if it's a completely dumbass decision. Now, if I'm just making consecutive bad decisions, I'm not learning anything. Well, I'm just fucking stupid. I mean, that's just the gist of it. If you just constantly asking questions and never getting anywhere, so be it. But if you're asking questions and getting dumb answers or getting no answers, or you still got the drive for knowledge, if you're just constantly indecisive, what actually like are you accomplishing by being indecisive? Like, what are you doing by being indecisive?
Right.
Like, you're not doing anything.
You're also gutless.
Yeah.
I think I 100% would rather be one that makes bad decisions over being indecisive because, it's just been hammered into me since I was, young. Right or wrong, make a decision.
Yeah.
And I think that bodes you well, or serves you better in the future than it would be to not make a decision at all because, at least shows that you have confidence to, stick with what it means, follow your gut and make a decision, stick with it. When you're indecisive, you're just saying, I want somebody to do this for me.
Right.
I don't trust myself enough. I don't think, even if I do enough research, I don't think I'm capable of making any decision, even if it solely, affects me. And then when you are that kind of person, you invite people in your life who are willing to make those decisions for you, and those decisions aren't always in your best interest.
Of course not. They're in their best interest.
Yes, they're gonna make it serves their own interest, which is going to make it worse for you in the long run, and then you're going to be filled with regret.
Right.
And I think it's impossible to make bad decisions over and over and over and over again if you're a somewhat aware person, because you should learn from lessons and apply them. But you can only get better at decision making by making decisions.
That is true.
So
that is true.
So it's like with everything, practice.
Life is the same way.
Yes. It's like the whole, is it better to love and lost and never love at all? Like, that depends on, if you had sex by then.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a hell of a way to look at it. Yeah. That's a hell of a way to look at it. Well, here's a question. I've been thinking about this, and this is probably going to end up being the whole topic at this rate that we're going right now. But kind of in the same type question, would you rather have the people around you have understanding or emotional intelligence?
Oh, emotional intelligence.
I agree.
Because what does understanding really mean? And I don't think people are too diverse and complex to have total understanding at all times.
Right.
But emotional intelligence, I think, helps you, manage relationships better and take the time to learn more about people. So, I think with better emotional intelligence, understanding is just a byproduct of it.
Yeah, that's almost exactly how I feel. I feel like in certain situations, understanding, not complete understanding, but to an extent, is inevitable if you have emotional intelligence. And that goes into so many things because to your point about people being around you making decisions for you, I feel like if somebody's around you and they have enough emotional intelligence to understand that even if you're not making decisions, the decision that need to be made needs to be for the person that the decision is going to impact, opposed to the outcome being in favor of who's making the decision, then they'll make a selfless decision. Because that's the other part of emotional intelligence. A large part of it is doing things selflessly and understanding that this needs to be done for the greater good of something else besides me.
Mm-hmm.
And when people don't do that, it's all right, well, I tell you what, this probably is not going to help him at all. But if he does this, it'll be great as hell for me. So go ahead and do this. Go ahead and make this purchase, or fight this person, or give me this money.
Mm-hmm.
All right, yeah, that's all good and well, but what am I getting out of this?
Yeah. How many people in your life do you think have emotional intelligence? Well, high emotional intelligence. I think people have it all to a certain degree.
I disagree with that.
Really?
Yeah, I disagree with that. And I realize it, and I say that, even asking that question, I ask that question because, I'm a person that has always cherished understanding, and I appreciate understanding, and I love understanding. But I realize exactly what we just said. I realize that all the people that have understanding, from my perception of understanding, actually have high emotional intelligence, right? So, and I say the people that have real, true emotional intelligence that I could think of in my life, I might say three, maybe, right? And I say that because I see how they make decisions as it relate to me. I see how they make decisions for themselves that are meant for themselves that still may impact me and how they make those decisions, right? And I was looking back at it because, I was thinking about, my relationship with, my mother and my siblings growing up. We got into plenty of arguments, knockout, drag out situations where at any point they could have been like, Corey's off his rocker. I'm done with this nigga. He's on some other shit right now, right? But at the same time, all of them chose to make the decision where, all right, I don't necessarily agree with what you did. I don't necessarily understand what you did. But what we are going to do is, before we have a knockout, drag out situation, we're going to have a conversation so that I actually know the root cause of why you did it, so that I can have some understanding behind what prompted whatever happened. It doesn't behoove them in any way to do that, because usually I did something against them. You know what I mean? So mm-hmm. There is nothing there that's going to benefit them by having that conversation with me, besides really saving the foundation of our relationship. You know what I mean? So having something there to the point where it's okay, I don't necessarily agree with that still. I may not completely understand why you made that decision still, but I see your perspective on it, and mm-hmm. I can understand why you did it from your perspective. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. So not that I agree with your perspective, but I see from your perspective why you did it. And you said this the other day, the situation isn't coming where you and I stop talking, or, you stop talking to a family member or someone else and you don't know why. Even if the day comes where you stop talking to them, you'll be able to really sit down and define why that happened. But that goes back to what we're saying about how negative things, at least we'll perceive as considering, did it start with us or did it not? And positive things, we'll look at, all right, what variables or what people contributed to it. But that it contributes to so many things. I cannot probably put a value on emotional intelligence. But I think the other part of that is, I realize I'm going to have some people around that are probably neutral relationships on and